So today I want to show you something that really everyone should know how to do, but a lot of people pay a mechanic to do, and that is change spark plugs on your car. So this is my 1998 BMW Z3M. It has a S52 performance motor in it from BMW, and a lot of the kind of early 2000s, late 90s, and the generation after this motors are similar in how this is going to work. The newer ones with the turbos are a little different and require removing some of the piping for the turbo beforehand. But for most BMWs, this is going to be the procedure on how to change your spark plugs. So here I have some NGK V-Power spark plugs. This car is supercharged, so it requires a hotter spark plug, which you can see designated by the little E at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take this engine cover off. I have an oil cooler on here, so it makes it a little more difficult, but it's pretty easy. It's just 2 bolts, I think they're 10 millimeters, and remove the oil cap, and this comes right off. Okay, so as you can see here, these are your coils. In this engine there is 6 of them, and different engines hold them on different ways. The newer ones have a little retainer that kind of locks them in. These older 90s, early 2000s BMWs have 2 bolts, so it's basically just 2 bolts off. This little retaining clip pops right up, which lets you pull the plug out, and then the coil comes right out. So be sure to set these somewhere where you're going to remember and where the screws won't get lost. Okay, now that all the spark plug coils are removed, the next thing you're going to want to do is take a can or an air compressor and spray it in there and kind of blast anything out before you open the cylinder up. So the next thing you're going to want to do is find the manufacturer specifications on how tight each spark plug should be, and grab your handy torque wrench and go ahead and input it here. The German cars, a lot of them use Newton meters, so you can convert it, or some of them on the back actually have a display in Newton meters, but go ahead and make sure that you don't over tighten it, because if you do, you could warp the head, or you could strip the threads in the cylinder head. You'll need something like this. It's a spark plug socket. I got it at AutoZone. Just match the size of the socket to the size of your spark plug. It has a little magnet in there so it doesn't drop back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the plugs, check them individually, and put new ones in. Alright guys, so once you get your first plug out, go ahead and compare it to your new plug. This plug looks like it's been running a little rich. That's probably because I installed that water methanol injection system. There's more fuel and I haven't tuned for it yet, so you can clearly see this is a little rich. Not too terrible, there's no big buildups on it, but definitely want to get some new plugs in there as you can see the difference. So go ahead and inspect each one individually, because each cylinder varies, and just make sure it's running all right. So now that I've installed all the spark plugs, what I'm going to do next is go ahead and install the coil packs. Some people like to use dielectric grease on them. They're little rubber boots that seat on the spark plugs themselves. However, a big problem with these BMWs is that people use too much dielectric grease, and the ones that don't lock themselves in with screws like the newer ones will actually pop out, and you'll start getting misfires. All right guys, all finished up. Let's go ahead and fire it up and see how the new plugs sound. All right, I hope that was helpful. Now you should know how to change your spark plugs on basically any BMW up until they started turbocharging them. Go ahead and do it yourself. There's no reason not to. The spark plugs themselves are like $4 each, and it takes about an hour of your time. All right, guys, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell to get notifications for the next time a video's up, and I'll see you next time.